14 black celebrities who secretly born male. What if the Hollywood icons you loved hid a truth so powerful it could have destroyed their careers overnight? In an era when merely existing was a crime, these extraordinary black celebrities vanished from the spotlight, guarded heavy secrets, and fought a brutal system just to live authentically. Today, we blow the dust off history to reveal the hidden truths of fame that the industry tried to erase forever. You are watching the Remembered Lives channel, where the forgotten legacies of brilliance and resilience finally come to light. Before we dive into these jaw-dropping stories, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Trust me, you do not want to miss a single second of this countdown. Laverne Cox. From the deeply segregated streets of Mobile, Alabama, to the glittering marquees of Hollywood, her journey is a masterclass in resilience and absolute brilliance. Long before she became a household name, she navigated a world that constantly tried to dim her light, enduring relentless bullying and a profound sense of isolation. Yet, she found her sanctuary in dance and classical training, developing a fierce discipline that would later anchor her historic ascent. Her seismic breakthrough shattered Hollywood's concrete ceiling in 2013 when she stepped into the shoes of Sophia Bursette on Netflix's critically acclaimed mega hit, Orange is the New Black. This wasn't merely a performance, it was a cultural phenomenon that resonated with millions globally. In 2014, she etched her name into the history books as the first openly transgender person to be nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award in an acting category. That very same year, she became the first trans woman to grace the historic cover of Time magazine for its landmark Transgender Tipping Point feature, a visual testament to her role as the architect of a new era. Her influence only multiplied when she executive produced the Emmy-winning documentary Laverne Cox Presents The T-Word, which pulled back the curtain on the lives of trans youth. Commanding a massive digital footprint with over 4 million Instagram followers, she strategically utilizes her immense platform to dismantle systemic barriers, speak truth to power, and champion intersectional justice. Whether she is making history as the first trans woman to have a Barbie doll created in her likeness, or delivering powerful speeches worldwide, she remains a towering monument of dignity, elegance, and unyielding, authentic power. Candis Cayne. In an era when the mainstream media viewed transgender individuals through a lens of mockery or complete invisibility, she stepped onto the stage and forced the world to see her exquisite grace. Raised in the breathtaking but conservative landscape of Maui, Hawaii, she initially found her voice through the meticulous rigor of classical dance. However, it was the raw, pulsating energy of New York City's underground ballroom and drag culture in the early 1990s that truly crystallized her identity. She quickly morphed into a downtown sensation, a nightlife diva celebrated for her jaw-dropping choreography and mesmerizing stage presence. Then came 2007, the year she changed the television landscape forever. Cast as Carmelita Rayner on ABC's hit primetime drama Dirty Sexy Money, she achieved what no one before her had accomplished. She became the first openly transgender actress to portray a recurring transgender character on primetime network television. For 23 groundbreaking episodes, she brought a sense of romance, complexity, and high-fashion elegance to a character entangled with a powerful U.S. senator, captivating over 6 million viewers weekly during its peak. She carried the immense weight of historical representation with flawless poise, proving to Hollywood executives that audiences would embrace trans talent in peak television narratives. Beyond her scripted triumphs, her close bond with Caitlyn Jenner on the reality docuseries I Am Kate introduced her nuanced, deeply compassionate perspective on trans rights to a whole new generation of viewers. With over 3 decades of tireless devotion to the arts and LGBTQ+ advocacy, she continues to stand tall as the foundational blueprint for every trans performer navigating modern Hollywood. Mya Taylor. Her story does not begin in a glamorous studio, but in the unforgiving, sun-drenched concrete streets of Hollywood, where survival itself was an act of revolutionary defiance. Born and raised in Houston, Texas, she experienced a turbulent youth marked by deep isolation before migrating to Los Angeles in pursuit of a fresh start. Instead, she was met with a brutal gauntlet of homelessness and systemic discrimination, eventually being forced into survival sex work just to stay alive. But destiny intervened in 2013 at the corner of Santa Monica Boulevard, where independent filmmaker Sean Baker recognized a raw, electric spark within her. That chance encounter birthed Tangerine, an audacious cinematic masterpiece shot entirely on 3 iPhone 5 smartphones with a micro-budget of just $100,000. When the film exploded onto the Sundance Film Festival stage in 2015, her portrayal of Alexandra, a fiercely loyal, aspiring lounge singer possessing a heart of gold, sent shockwaves through the global film industry. Her performance was an absolute revelation, combining gritty realism with impeccable comedic timing. In 2016, she made definitive cinematic history by becoming the first openly transgender actress to win a major American film prize, taking home the Independent Spirit Award for Best Supporting Female. She followed this monumental victory by winning a Gotham Award for Breakthrough Actor, instantly proving that masterpieces could be forged without Hollywood's millions. Since her historic breakthrough, she has expanded her artistic range, starring in the 2020 feature Stage Mother alongside Lucy Liu, while remaining an outspoken, uncompromising champion for authentic trans casting and the visibility of Black trans women worldwide. Tracy Norman. Long before diversity became a corporate buzzword, she silently conquered the highest peaks of the global fashion industry, carrying a secret that was both her passport to success and a constant threat to her survival. Born in 1952 in Newark, New Jersey, she possessed a striking, ethereal beauty that was impossible to ignore. In the early 1970s, she walked into a chance casting call and immediately captured the attention of legendary fashion spaces, swiftly signing with top-tier agencies who were mesmerized by her sophisticated aura and flawless mechanics on the runway. Without the world knowing her true background, she broke monumental color barriers, appearing in the pages of Italian Vogue and Essence magazine, while commanding high-profile commercial campaigns. Her definitive career milestone arrived when she became the face of Clairol's wildly popular Born Beautiful hair color box line, specifically shade number 512. Her face was distributed to thousands of retail stores across the United States, making her a household image during the peak of the 1970s beauty boom. However, this glamorous fairy tale suffered a devastating fracture in 1980. During a high-fashion photo shoot, an acquaintance recognized her from her youth and disclosed her trans identity to the editor. The industry's retaliation was swift and merciless. Contracts vanished, bookings ceased instantly, and she was thoroughly blacklisted from the American fashion landscape. Exiled but unbroken, she relocated to Paris, continuing to model for a time before fading into decades of quiet obscurity. Her profound contributions were buried until 2015, when a brilliant New York Magazine profile unearthed her historic legacy. In a poetic turn of justice, Clairol officially rehired her in 2016 for a global television campaign, allowing her to reclaim her crown as a pioneering icon of trans visibility. Miss Sahhara. Her life represents an extraordinary odyssey of survival, charting a perilous path from the terrifying depths of state-sanctioned persecution to the bright, empowering lights of international stardom. Born in Benue State, Nigeria, she realized her authentic female identity at a very tender age, a truth that proved incredibly dangerous within a deeply conservative society that heavily criminalized gender nonconformity. Throughout her youth, she endured severe systemic violence, constant public humiliation, and multiple traumatic suicide attempts born from absolute isolation. The nightmare culminated during her university years when she was brutally arrested and thrown into a notoriously harsh Nigerian prison, simply for expressing her womanhood. Surviving that horrific ordeal, she made a daring escape from her homeland in 2004, seeking political asylum in the United Kingdom, where she could finally breathe, heal, and step into her full power. Settling in London, her striking features and statuesque physique opened doors in the modeling world, but she refused to let her platform merely be about aesthetics. In 2011, she made global headlines by competing in Miss International Queen in Pattaya, Thailand, officially becoming the first openly transgender African woman to walk a prestigious international beauty pageant stage, ultimately securing the first runner-up position. Using this massive media momentum, she founded Transvalid, an influential global advocacy platform engineered to dispel misconceptions and combat the extreme violence faced by trans individuals worldwide. Her harrowing, yet triumphant migration was meticulously documented in the acclaimed 2014 British documentary, Miss Sahhara, From Prison to Pride. Today, as a singer, model, and international human rights orator, she stands as an unyielding beacon of hope for marginalized voices across the African continent. Jari Jones. She is a foundational force of nature, a multi-hyphenate creative engine who has completely shattered the traditional, rigid archetypes of fashion and cinema through sheer authenticity and unapologetic joy. Growing up in a traditional Midwestern environment, she spent years navigating the complex intersections of her identity as a Black, plus-size, transgender woman in a world that rarely offered blueprints for her specific existence. Rather than waiting for an industry invitation, she forged her own path, honing her sharp creative instincts behind the scenes as a writer, theater director, and talent mentor. Her artistic genius commanded international attention in 2019 when she served as an associate producer and cast member for the independent drama Port Authority. When the film debuted at the Cannes Film Festival, it marked a historic milestone, celebrating the first time in the festival's storied 72-year history that a film featured a Black trans woman in a leading role, establishing her as a formidable creative architect. The very next year, she triggered a massive global cultural shift. In 2020, she was selected as the definitive star of Calvin Klein's high-profile Black Lives Matter and Pride advertising campaign. A monumental, multi-story billboard featuring her radiant, joyful image was erected over the iconic shopping district of Soho in Manhattan. This image instantly went viral worldwide, capturing her popping a bottle of champagne in celebration of body positivity, racial justice, and queer romance. As the first Black plus-size trans model to front a global luxury campaign, she successfully democratized the concept of high-fashion beauty. Lovingly known as a community mother to countless younger LGBTQ+ artists in New York City, she continues to fiercely produce bold media that demands absolute liberation for all bodies. Jackie Shane. She was an absolute force of nature, a musical titan whose velvety voice and defiant presence shook the foundations of mid-century rhythm and blues. Born in 1940 in Nashville, Tennessee, she grew up navigating the perilous intersections of Jim Crow segregation and rigid gender enforcement. From her earliest days, she possessed an innate, unshakable knowledge of her womanhood. Rather than hiding from a hostile world, she chose to weaponize her undeniable talent, dressing in glamorous, custom-tailored gowns and full makeup long before the mainstream world had even coined the terminology to understand her. By the late 1950s, her quest for artistic freedom led her north to Canada, where she completely transformed the nightlife of Toronto. Fronting her exceptional band at the historic Sapphire Tavern, her live performances became legendary, religious experiences for soul music devotees. In 1962, her electric, show-stopping single, Any Other Way, exploded onto the Canadian music charts, peaking at number 2 on the ubiquitous Chum Hit Parade and introducing her gritty, gospel-infused vocals to millions of listeners. On stage, she was a master of performance art and a revolutionary orator. During extended musical breakdowns, she would look directly into the eyes of packed, diverse crowds and deliver legendary monologues, famously proclaiming her right to absolute self-determination without an ounce of fear or apology. She walked away from the music industry at the absolute height of her powers in 1971, retreating into decades of fierce privacy to care for her mother. Her brilliant legacy was beautifully resurrected in 2017 with the Grammy-nominated anthology Any Other Way, which cemented her position as a foundational architect of modern soul. Though she passed away in 2019, her historic recordings remain an immortal blueprint of unyielding trans liberation. Trace Lysette. Her spectacular ascent through the ranks of the entertainment industry stands as a magnificent testament to artistic grit and a fierce refusal to be marginalized by Hollywood's traditional gatekeepers. Born in Lexington, Kentucky, she spent her formative years navigating a highly conservative Midwestern environment that offered zero visibility for young transgender individuals. Driven by an unyielding desire to live authentically, she relocated to New York City, immersing herself in the competitive ballroom scene and honing her performance skills while operating under the radar in an industry that was notoriously hostile to trans talent. Her monumental breakthrough arrived in 2014 when she was cast as Shea on Amazon's critically acclaimed, multiple Emmy-winning television series, Transparent. Bringing her genuine, lived experience to the screen, she delivered a performance of astonishing vulnerability, particularly in a historic network narrative where her character openly disclosed her HIV-positive status, completely shattering decades of toxic media stereotypes surrounding trans women of color. Off-screen, she emerged as an uncompromising force for accountability, courageously leading structural conversations surrounding workplace safety and authentic creative representation across the entertainment landscape. In 2019, she successfully transitioned to major Hollywood feature films, making her high-profile big-screen debut in the star-studded box office hit Hustlers, alongside Jennifer Lopez and Constance Wu. Her performance made history as she portrayed an empowering, dynamic character whose identity was not defined by transactional trauma or clinical transition. Her artistic evolution reached a spectacular pinnacle with her critically acclaimed starring role in the independent drama Monica, which received an incredible 6-minute standing ovation at the Venice Film Festival, proving to global executives that she is a world-class leading lady capable of carrying profound cinematic masterpieces. Lotic. She operates at the absolute vanguard of contemporary electronic music, a visionary producer and sonic architect who utilizes industrial beats and experimental frequencies to dismantle the boundaries of genre, race, and gender. Born Jakarian Morgan in Houston, Texas, she spent her early years studying classical composition, developing a deep, sophisticated understanding of musical theory before feeling restricted by the rigid traditions of the American Academy. Seeking an environment that embraced radical experimentation and queer identity, she made a pivotal migration to Berlin, Germany in 2012. In the underground club sanctuaries of the German capital, her brilliant creative vision coalesced into a political weapon. She quickly aligned herself with the influential Janus Collective, turning traditional dance floors into sonic battlegrounds through her chaotic, exhilarating DJ sets that seamlessly blended aggressive club rhythms, pop vocals, and avant-garde noise. Her phenomenal debut studio album, Power, released in 2018, was hailed by global music critics as a masterpiece of electronic storytelling. The project served as her official musical coming out, utilizing thundering bass lines, metallic synths, and haunting vocal arrangements to process the intense emotional turbulence of her gender transition while living openly as a Black trans woman in a foreign landscape. Her follow-up masterpiece, Water, further expanded her artistic universe, incorporating live orchestral instrumentation and ethereal choral arrangements to explore themes of spiritual ancestral lineage and absolute bodily autonomy. Beyond her solo triumphs, she remains a dedicated community matriarch, utilizing her international touring platforms and production studios to actively mentor, uplift, and provide high-tech resources for the next generation of Black and queer electronic artists seeking liberation through sound. Angie Stardust. She was a monumental trailblazer of the international underground, a fierce matriarch whose extraordinary life spanned continents and decades of unyielding queer resistance. Born in 1946 in the United States, she came of age during a hostile historical era where expressing gender nonconformity was routinely met with systemic violence, police brutality, and institutionalization. Refusing to live in the shadows, she stepped directly into the spotlight of the legendary Harlem drag balls and smoky Manhattan cabarets of the 1960s, stunning audiences with her rich, commanding singing voice and old-school Hollywood glamour. As the political atmosphere in America grew increasingly oppressive for Black trans women during the 1970s, she made the courageous decision to seek refuge in Europe, eventually settling in West Berlin. In the shadow of the Berlin Wall, she discovered a city pulsing with radical artistic freedom, and she quickly established herself as the undisputed premier diva of the German capital's queer nightlife. She reigned supreme as the resident performer and host at legendary subcultural venues like the Chez Haag Cabaret and Schwuds, captivating diverse European audiences with her jazz standards and fierce wit. More than just an entertainer, she transformed her status into a lifeline, acting as a protective housemother to generations of runaway queer youth and aspiring trans performers who arrived in Berlin with nothing. Her historic impact on European independent cinema was immortalized in the 1979 cult classic film City of Lost Souls, directed by Rosa von Braunheim, which provided the global public with a raw, authentic glimpse into her artistic philosophy. Though she passed away in 2007 at the age of 61, her pioneering legacy survives as the foundational blueprint for Black trans expatriates who dared to cross oceans in search of complete bodily liberation. Leyna Bloom. She stands as a towering architectural force in modern fashion and independent cinema, a visionary pioneer who has systematically rewritten the rules of high-end beauty and editorial representation on a global scale. Born in 1991 on the south side of Chicago to a Black father and a Filipina mother, she was inherently captivated by the expressive power of dance. Her exceptional physical talent earned her a prestigious scholarship to the Chicago Academy for the Arts, but when the traditional ballet world proved unyielding toward her identity, she pivoted toward New York City with absolute determination. In the highly competitive coliseums of the underground ballroom scene, she fully crystallized her legendary runway mechanics, eventually rising to become a celebrated figure within the house of Miyake Mugler. Her explosive mainstream breakthrough shook the fashion industry in 2017, when she made history as the first openly transgender woman of color to be featured in an editorial spread for Vogue India. That same year, she disrupted New York Fashion Week by walking the runway for Chromat, proving that high fashion could be both inclusive and incredibly lucrative. Her creative trajectory reached a historic cinematic pinnacle in 2019 when she made her feature film acting debut as the lead character in the independent drama Port Authority. When the film premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, she officially became the first Black trans woman in the festival's storied 72-year history to lead a major feature film selection. In 2021, she engineered another massive cultural milestone by becoming the first openly transgender woman of color to grace the coveted cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Photographed on the beaches of Sacramento, the historic imagery was distributed to millions worldwide, shattering decades of rigid media standards and establishing her as an immortal icon of intersectional power and supreme grace. Quay Dash. She does not rhyme to fit into the established structures of the music industry. She uses her microphone as a precision weapon to wage a sonic war for absolute visibility and respect. Born and raised in the unforgiving landscape of the North Bronx, New York, she spent her formative years navigating a hostile environment where surviving as a young Black transgender woman was a daily act of resistance. Rather than allowing the systemic erasure of the streets to silence her, she channeled her raw fury, sharp intellect, and experiences into the gritty arena of underground hip-hop. Her explosive entry into the music scene shattered the traditionally cis-normative boundaries of rap, Operating completely independently, her 2016 debut extended play, Transphobic, sent shockwaves through the industry, pairing heavy industrial trap beats with razor-sharp lyrical delivery that refused to sugarcoat the realities of transphobia, poverty, and street survival. Her flow is a masterclass in aggressive precision, dense, rhythmic, and entirely unapologetic. She quickly caught the attention of avant-garde fashion and art spaces, leading to high-profile collaborations with acclaimed producers like Sophie and performing at major contemporary art institutions worldwide. On stage, her presence is an absolute powerhouse performance. She commands the venue with an imposing, high-fashion aura, treating the stage not just as a space for entertainment, but as a political platform where she demands immediate equity for Black trans women. Her landmark 2017 project, Satan's Angel, further solidified her status as a subcultural icon, demonstrating an artistic range that combines classic 90s New York boom-bap grit with the futuristic sounds of modern electronic music. Refusing to chase major label contracts that would dilute her revolutionary message, she remains a fiercely independent blueprint for the next generation of queer and trans rappers, proving that raw truth and uncompromising bars can completely shake the foundations of hip-hop. Shea Diamond. Her music carries the heavy, soulful weight of a woman who has walked through the absolute depths of systemic oppression and emerged with a voice that can rattle the heavens. Born in Charlotte, North Carolina, and raised in Flint, Michigan, she realized her authentic female identity within a deeply religious, conservative environment that offered her zero protection or understanding. The extreme economic hardship and intense discrimination she faced as a young Black trans woman ultimately led to her encapsulation within the American prison system, where she spent a grueling 10 years housed in male correctional facilities. It was behind those concrete walls, stripped of her basic human dignity, that her artistic spirit refused to break. Instead, she found her ultimate liberation by writing what would become her definitive musical masterpiece. Her timeless anthem, I Am Her, was birthed in a prison cell as a solitary whisper of survival, before transforming into a global rallying cry for the marginalized. Upon her release, her raw talent was discovered by songwriter Justin Tranter, leading to her signing with East West Records and the release of her critically acclaimed 2018 debut EP, Seen It All. Her vocal delivery is a phenomenal force of nature, a gritty, gospel-soaked contralto that seamlessly blends the vintage warmth of classic soul with the fierce energy of modern rock and roll. Her brilliant songwriting directly confronts the realities of racism, poverty, and structural invisibility, turning her personal scars into universal messages of hope and empowerment. Her historic contributions to the cultural landscape were widely celebrated when her music was featured prominently on major television soundtracks, including HBO's We're Here and Netflix's When They See Us. As a towering performer and an outspoken human rights orator, she continues to use her international platform to dismantle the prison industrial complex and ensure that the voices of trans women of color are never erased again. Every legendary story we shared today proves that true beauty and brilliance can never be permanently erased by time or prejudice. But the history of Hollywood is vast, and many hidden truths still remain locked in the shadows. Which of these iconic journeys shocked or inspired you the most? Is there a pioneering star we completely left out who deserves to be seen in our next video? Drop your thoughts, theories, and historic guesses in the comments right now. Your suggestion might just spark our next deep dive. If these powerful legacies moved you, give this video a massive like, share it with history lovers, and subscribe to the Remembered Lives channel to keep their spirits alive.